Everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, June 3rd. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Cody Ocamp is going to come up. Come on up, and you're going to help us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right?
Would you all please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Go ahead.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, young man.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on my calendar.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mayor Burchill.
Here.
District 1 Morset.
Here.
District 2 Yaku.
Here.
District 3 Bernard.
Here.
District 4 Tewinkle.
Here.
District 5 Hoggett.
Here.
District 6 Vanslo.
Here. At this point in our agenda, we ask anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda tonight. So now's your chance. If you have an issue that you'd like to address the council, please come forward and address the council. Is there anyone here that would like to address? If you could give us your name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Phil Triantafilo, live at 1126 6th Street. I live with Denise Madden, who is the homeowner at 1126 6th Street. I'm here with some of the neighbors that share the block with Trinity Lutheran Church. We're here to ask for a public meeting with the city regarding the construction that's going to take place there. We feel that we've been left out on the process. 5 weeks ago, the first that I learned about it was in the Hudson Observer. Since then, I have been in contact with Dennis Darnold. I have no issue with him. We're just here because it seems like the project is on a fast track and there has been no meeting set, so we want a public record that we're disappointed with that, and we have some issues that we would like addressed as the project moves forward. As neighbors in the neighborhood, we feel that this project has gone on without the voice of all the neighbors in the neighborhood for far too long. So at this point, I'd like to list briefly some of the concerns we have, and if we could address those at a future meeting. I've already addressed that we seem to think that this is on a fast track with no input from the residents. In talking with Dennis, I understand that there has to be a conditional use permit of some type in order to run the operation. It was originally granted when there's a little bit of a gray area. I don't know if it was originally for the daycare or the daycare in early school. But as the schools progressed, has the city reviewed this and the use of that permit as this facility has grown? It's getting extremely large for the neighborhood, which leads to the next issue of traffic. St. Croix carries a lot of traffic as it is. All their literature states that they're going to get bigger. They've got their projected students at 340 in the upcoming 4 years, according to their own website. It's just a lot more traffic and a lot more congestion in the neighborhood. Parking has been an issue. We'd like to know about the rules of the percentage of the land that can be used, if there has to be any buffers between a certain size building and a residential neighborhood, if those rules are the same for older Hudson as newer parts of Hudson. We want to know about questions about the infrastructure, sewer, water, if this is going to be an extra strain on that, and if there's any failures, who's going to bear the cost of that. Street maintenance with plowing last year was kind of a nightmare. There's a lot of rentals there as well, and it just doesn't get plowed properly. And another thing that Public Works really needs to address is people putting their garbage cans in the street, especially in the wintertime. The plows have to plow around them. We've recently learned that there are plans for them to expand to grade 12, which means you can graduate from there. Wow. Which is another concern, is teenage drivers coming into the neighborhood and parking. And if there's any way that we can put some controls on what goes on there. Evidently, probably the only control is that the permit. And if it hasn't been reviewed, why hasn't it been reviewed? Because it certainly isn't what it was initially issued for. And I guess the other question we have is, about 5 years ago, there was a proposal, somebody wanted to buy the house, the old school on 7th and St. Croix, and run a flower shop out of it. At that time, the city was on board with no more traffic, no more additional parking on St. Croix because of the traffic that the street carries, and we want to know why now, with the school, why it's any different, why the traffic's not going to be different. In the last 5 years, they said that they've doubled their enrollment, and it is very obvious. I don't know if anybody's been down there, but there's a significant change in the neighborhood, especially you start a school day and the end of school day. And then I'll just turn it over to John, and I think Randy's here also.
My name is Johnny Monterial. Basically, I have the same issues as him, plus I'll add a fact that there's only one day that we can find that there's nothing going on that area there, and when they have youth coming in for whatever it is that happens at night, they play, they throw frisbees back and forth, they come around 6th Street and they make a right turn on 6th Street really fast. My 2 cars are right at the corner. When we're unloading groceries, those kids in the evenings, when they have evening, whatever it is that they do there in the evenings other than church services, it's on a dangerous situation. And basically, it's the same thing that he had, plus what you just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants? Yes?
Absolutely. My name's Randy Rice. I live at 1114 6th Street. And I ditto Phil's comments. It's been a hassle to park on the street, especially in the wintertime. They give these people permits, the teachers and stuff, to park on the streets, yet we can't park on the street in the wintertime. We'll get a ticket. They get a permit for free, from what I understand. Also, if you look at, I had the opportunity to look at their website tonight before I came here. Their enrollment is increased by 50%. In the next 5 years or 4 years, they plan to put the 12th grade in there. That means high school students. And look at Hudson High School and their parking permits. There's not enough spots for all these high school students that are driving there. What are we gonna do? They're gonna park around our city streets. We're not gonna have no place to park. Already our waste management, or whatever company they've called them now, well, they've changed names every year, but anyways, I got to put my yard waste can out in the front of the street, and it doesn't get emptied. I call them up, and they say, well, there's too many cars parked there. We got to have 5 feet between your can. I got a frown face sticker on the can today in the alley. Oh. Well, come on. We're paying our property taxes to fix these streets. I can't even park my empty boat trailer, which we spend $1,000 every weekend. I'm sorry.
Let's kind of wrap it up, or kind of.
Well, I oppose it. We haven't gotten any voice, and you're expanding this business, and it's a business. 68% of their income comes from the school revenue. That's about all I have to say. I'm opposed to it.
My understanding is that, and I don't know if you've been contacted, Mr. Darnell is on vacation this week, and there was supposed to be a meeting next Monday night at 7 o'clock, and I don't know if you've received any information on that.
He had mentioned that he was trying, but at this point, after working with him for 5 weeks, I kind of felt that we were not going to get any attention.
Okay.
And to just simply meet off public record with the church, I didn't think was adequate. I think it needs to become public record that the residents are dissatisfied with the way this project went through, I don't know if all
I
permits.
don't know if it's gone through or not.
Well,
so-
I don't, at the last conversation I had with him, he did not have the permits approved, he said, for the new part of the construction. What they were working on was on the older portion of the building. But we're just concerned as neighbors. I mean, we have to coexist. And at this point, we feel that we've put up with a lot with their growth. And to hear about it, basically, John heard about it 3 days before their ceremonial groundbreaking. And the only reason why I feel they came out is because I was having conversations with Dennis with our frustrations of not knowing anything about the project. And when they did canvass the area, they didn't canvass it very well. A lot of people did not even receive the flyer. We live directly across the street. We did not receive it. We were not home. So it's just adding to the frustration, the confusion. There's a lot of talk behind the scenes of what's going on, so we really need to disclose what's going on, where we're going in the future. And again, with this conditional use permit, I think that's what it's called. When it was originally issued, did the city have in mind that this was going to go in the direction that it's in? And can we do something at this stage to try and control the situation? I know that it's not going to go away, but we have to coexist. And right now, there's a lot more give from the residents. And I don't think we should have to give any more. And second, the problem with the sanitation, it happens on St. Croix too. Last year alone, we had to call 10 times to have the sanitation picked up. And I don't think that we should have to call 10 times.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on any other issue not on the agenda tonight? Okay. Consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
To approve the regular meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2013. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $292,056.83. A detailed description is available in the clerk's office on request and is posted on the city's website. To approve the issuance of 19 regular operators licenses for the period June 4th, 2013 to June 30th, 2015, contingent on payment of any outstanding debt that's owed to the city. And to approve the issuance of 6 temporary operators licenses to be used July 3rd through 6th, 2013 at the Hudson Booster Days event in Lakefront Park. To approve the renewal and issuance of an amusement device owner's license to William Lethert, South St. Paul, Minnesota, doing business as Mendota Valley Amusement Incorporated, and permits for 13 amusement device machines located at Buffalo Wild Wings and Green Mill in Hudson. To approve increasing the minimum hours required to enroll in the City of Hudson's health insurance plan to 30 hours per week, and to make all necessary amendments to the plan coverage with Preferred One and any other future health insurance carriers. To allow Joshua and Melissa Beer to construct a fence at 46 Bristol Court within the easement area, contingent on execution and recording of an easement agreement. That is all.
Move for approval.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk, the reports of the,
Reports of the
Minutes,
city
2 minutes.
officials, boards, and commission also.
Right,
What's
the
this?
minutes of the EMS meeting and the May 28th North Hudson Cable Access Advisory Board.
Now, Randy.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call?
Yakub?
Yes.
Vanslo?
yes.
Haggett?
Yes.
Tewinkle?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Morissette?
Yes. Okay. First item on the agenda is the Finance Committee annual beverage license held by Hanson Brothers Golf Holdings by Hanson Brothers LLC. Possible suspension or revocation of the 2012-2013 alcoholic beverage license or renewal or non-renewal of the 2013-14 alcoholic beverage license. In Finance Committee, we recommended continuation. They've agreed to follow the 3 days in 90-day period. And Council or Finance agreed to.
Consecutive days.
3 consecutive days during a 90-day period. Finance Committee recommended approval of and renewal of their liquor license. Would you like to go through it and have them apply, Catherine go through it? Or would you like to, your choice, the people that weren't on Finance?
Can I just make a motion?
Sure.
That we adopt option number 3
to renew the license.
Yeah, it was done in finance in two motions. First, to renew the license, we discussed how the current on the books continuation of business requirement works, requires 3 consecutive days in a 90-day period to avoid cancellation. They understand that and will comply with it, indicated that they will comply with it. So the council, or the finance recommended renewal on that basis, then made a separate motion recommending as reviewing, bringing back the ordinance to review and consider maybe some possible amendments, but it was done in two motions.
So my motion is just to renew the license contingent upon them sending a letter saying they will comply with the existing ordinance.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Now, do you, people that weren't on finance, you want the short version or you want the long version?
I don't need any version, that's what I wanted to do last time.
Okay,
I think the important thing here is the city has maintained its right to enforce its code,
Yep.
which I think was critical to the issue, and that was really the issue. We did not want to give up our right to enforce our city codes, and the business has agreed to comply, and that's really all we need.
okay. John,
So
Kurt?
this was originally crafted to, I can't just buy a liquor license, just hold on to it indefinitely.
Yeah.
Then somehow I need to.
You need to operate. I think that was the issue when it was brought into existence. I don't know, how long ago was it, 10 years ago?
Well, before I was here.
Okay, 15 years, 15 years ago, so someone held a liquor
Well,
license.
I was here, and that's not 15 years, so I
Maybe
think,
like 13, because this is right before I came, so I was here 12.
Okay,
anyway, it's been on for a while, but that was the issue. There were people, some licensees holding it. Also, there were several applicants for licenses, and that was one way to, again, differentiate between applicants.
Kurt, any questions?
No, I was actually watching it on TV at home, but, no, I'm good with it. I think it does need to be reviewed.
Okay,
This is a special circumstance,
Okay.
so.
all right. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do we need a second motion?
If you'd like.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we revisit the ordinance at a future time.
Second.
Discussion. Just take a look at the motion, look at the ordinance and see whether it fits today and if we want to continue that process. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consider room tax allocation to senior citizens. You have an issue sheet in your packet, and Mr. Morissette brought that forward. And we had finance approve 5-0, or 4-0, for $500 to the senior citizens from current year's allocation. Allocated, excuse me.
So I'll move that we approve the Finance Committee's recommendation for a $500 increase.
Second.
Okay. Comments? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The roof repair is going to be postponed to a future meeting. Consider a recommendation of St. Croix EMS Commission to add a 4th full-time paramedic. Lori? And Chief Eby is here too, to answer questions.
Was everyone watching finance or here?
Yeah, I was watching it at home.
John? Okay.
Okay.
That's all right. I'll give you the short version. We've been talking for probably 3 years at EMS Commission about adding a 4th full-time paramedic. We're running really short on staff on the weekends, which has been problematic. Kim covers her Monday through Friday job. She covers some shifts during the week, and she's also covering shifts on the weekend. In addition to that, we're missing out on quite a few transfers. Last year, we believe we missed out on 120 transfers just from ER, or just from the
From the total hospital?
total hospital, but not including ER, I thought you said.
No, at least 100 were from the ER.
Okay, so average revenue for each of those runs around $739. Neil's done a lot of number crunching, and we think we can largely cover the cost of this position by being able to capture some of those transfers. The other piece of it is when our residents get transferred by a service other than St. Croix EMS, they get charged a non-resident rate. So it's in our residents' best interest that they're picked up by St. Croix EMS and charged accordingly. May need to do some moving around of the budget, but we feel confident with increase in transfers that we'll be able to mostly cover it. So it's something that's been coming for a long time. We've put it off as long as we could. The day is here. So with that, I'd make a motion to approve the fourth full-time paramedic.
I'll second.
Chief, do you have anything to add?
Thank you.
We haven't voted yet, so be careful now.
I don't care. This was enough for me right here.
I think one of the questions that we had, and we talked about it at Finance, was the fact that a couple years ago, and we came up with a number of about $250 for a Medicare, Medicaid transfer from our place, Hudson, to St. Paul, and we were losing money on those. And with the new numbers and the way we work the numbers, the combination came out at about $740. So we wouldn't be losing money on a transfer. In fact, this would be enough to cover this position,
Yeah,
from what
and
we've been able to determine.
There's
So-
3 different ways we get money: private pay, people who are insured, and then Medicare, Medicaid. And in decreasing or in the same order, that's about how much money, we collect on those. So on average, for a transfer, it's right around $740. So we're comfortable with that, and it's something I think we have to do.
So on a Medicare transfer, we get $240, and that's all we can collect, even though it may be $1,400, is what our bill is. We write the difference off. Is that right, Chief?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Any other discussions or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider the city code regarding unpaid utilities on tax roll ordinance 2-13. Neil?
The proposed changes in the ordinance will bring us in compliance with state statute. The state has prescribed dates that we need to hit in order to utilize the process for tax rolling delinquent utility bills. What's currently in our city code is actually in the sewer code, and the dates just need to be tweaked a little bit. I mean, the net effect is we will probably, the billing for the third quarter and subsequent quarters may be moved up by 1 week. But the other thing that it will do is it will give people, currently, we're tax rolling on, I believe the date is October 25th. This will, the really 2 changes are, the people will have until November 16th to pay, and then the second change would be that the date in which the 10% penalty is assessed would be extended from October 25 to November 1. So it's probably more of a minor shift, but hopefully more people will pay so that we have less to certify to the county for collection.
I'll move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call.
Zanslow?
Yes.
Haggett?
Yes.
T-Winkle?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Yaku?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve ordinance 2-13.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, comments?
There'll be a slight adjustment in the billing cycle, beginning like October. Right now, the bills go out November 1st, about November 5th, right? So they'll be going
They will be going earlier by somewhere a week to 10 days.
so that we're able to comply with these dates. So then from that point forward, all of the bills will be slightly earlier.
That's a good thing.
But then we're going to time those so that, to minimize the impact, people who have signed up for automatic deduction from their accounts, those occur on the 15th. So what will happen is, instead of the bills being due typically October 25th or so, 20th to 25th, they'll be due on the 15th, so that ACH withdrawals, people who have signed up for that service, and we have over 1,000 people who have done that already, they will not have to change 1 iota.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Consideration of request for the Hudson Grocery Cooperative to receive a grant from room tax funds. Hi.
Hello. And again, I have a PowerPoint presentation
Sure.
for consideration by the council. Do you have a hookup? I don't see a cable up there.
They should be able to just.
Mr. Mayor, point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Is there anything else we can take?
We should have hall passes.
Well, better wait.
We got 2 on. For the rest of the council, I think we, John, Wednesday, the 12th, for the Ellers. Does that work for you folks in the evening?
In the
Oh, the
evening?
5-year stuff?
Yeah, the 5-year,
What time?
Like,
I don't know, is Neil still here? How about 7 o'clock?
That'll work. I can do 7.
Okay. I guess we got out of order, but that's fine, we'll do
I
that.
was supposed to get my eyebrows waxed.
Huh? Okay.
I can adjust.
I think it's going to be a couple more minutes. Mike, it's going to be a couple more minutes.
Yeah, we just need to turn it off.
Okay. Karen, are you here? Karen? Is Karen still here? Hey, Karen.
Karen Anderson.
Oh, we're up.
What's up?
Thought maybe she wanted. Okay, here we go. If you want to state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Bess Hambleton. I live at 522 4th Street here in Hudson, and I'm the current board secretary for the Hudson Grocery Cooperative. Thank you for having us on the agenda this evening. We're here tonight requesting a grant from the Hudson Room Tax Fund. Now, for anyone not familiar with what a grocery cooperative is, essentially, this is a grocery store like any other. The main difference is that it's a community-owned business. And of course, here in Wisconsin, we're all familiar with the Green Bay Packers as a key community-owned business in our state. Well, while there are some differences in the business structure, the fundamental idea is the same, which is fan support. A co-op is locally controlled, and the business model is driven by the needs of the community. So this is an enterprise that arose out of some unmet needs in the local market. Now, downtown Hudson has lacked a grocery store since Econo Foods closed a number of years ago. And in the initial phases of developing the Hudson Grocery Cooperative, we performed an initial survey which received about 250 responses that indicated quite a few people in our community are driving outside of Hudson to Woodbury and Stillwater and the Twin Cities in order to purchase their groceries. 90% of our survey respondents said that they would shop at a downtown grocery store either fairly often or very often. And a majority of those respondents don't actually live within walking distance of downtown Hudson. So there's clearly support to bring a grocery store downtown, even from people, in the broader community. Additionally, I should make a note of another driving force behind the Hudson Grocery Cooperative is this idea of locally sourced and locally produced food products and other products, and particularly the idea of giving a venue to local producers who don't really fit into the conventional grocery store chain because of the nature of the seasonal production and kind of unreliable supply that they provide. It doesn't work very well with conventional grocers who need to have a consistent supply, but something like a grocery cooperative, because it's a more flexible business model and because it's grounded in the needs of the community and kind of the spaces in the market where people are looking for something different, we would be able to provide that. So that brings us to the mission of the Hudson Grocery Cooperative, which is to be a community-owned, full-service grocery store that offers diverse food and product choices, including organic, sustainable, and regionally sourced options in the St. Croix Valley for residents, visitors, and commuters. We serve as a local resource by providing practical health and food-related information, supporting responsible economic development, and working to build community through food. Now, a grocery co-op will have significant benefits to Hudson's economy. The co-op will recapture the food dollars that are now flowing out of the community being spent elsewhere by keeping shoppers here in Hudson. And studies have shown that community-owned grocers are a driver of economic activity. So for every $1,000 that a shopper spends at a local food co-op, about $1,600 in economic activity is generated. Now, this happens in a number of ways. For one thing, a grocery co-op is an employer and creates jobs. So the average grocery co-op creates 10 jobs for every $1 million in sales revenue. And as some comparative examples, River Market in Stillwater has about 36 full and part-time employees. Menominee Market in Menominee is about half that size, has half the square footage, half the sales volume. They employ more than 20 people. In addition to acting as an employer, a co-op will draw new shoppers downtown, so both current Hudson residents who've been going elsewhere for groceries, but also people from surrounding communities. And the Hudson Grocery Cooperative already has owners in River Falls, Prescott, Bayport, Hammond, Woodville, even St. Paul and in the cities. In addition to pulling people into the downtown business community as shoppers, the grocery co-op would be supporting local farms and businesses. As I said, this is part of our mission statement, to be a source for local products. So from soap from Baldwin to local honey production, our wonderful steak sauce producers locally, and of course, agricultural goods. And to give an idea in volume of what that might look like, River Market last year purchased, so at cost, approximately $1 million of goods from local producers. And then another impact the co-op will have is as a host or sponsor of future events. So some examples of events held by other grocery co-ops include community fairs, regional bike and walking tours, offering cooking classes, classes on nutrition, hosting a winter's farmers market. So all of these are things that are bringing people into the community and encouraging people to spend time in the community, to come together, and producing this business synergy. And kind of our final point is that the co-op is going to enhance the quality of life in the community, which sounds a bit grand, but indeed, this is a significant community amenity that has been missing from downtown Hudson for a number of years. We've all seen the effect that vacant storefronts have on depressing business in a business community. The co-op is going to be a magnet store, an amenity for the community. It's going to bring and keep shoppers in Hudson. So currently, in its development, the Hudson Grocery Cooperative recently celebrated its 1-year anniversary of the Articles of Incorporation. Over the past year, we received a grant for board training and development. We had our first annual owners meeting, and currently we are now approaching 200 owners, which is our benchmark for launching a market study. The market study is really the key next step, so that at this time next year, the co-op is looking at hiring a general manager, and then in the following year, we plan to be looking at opening our doors. So the market study, as I said, this is a key next step to ensure the viability and the long-term success of the co-op. This is going to be used to determine optimal size and location, and to form short-term and long-term business strategies. This includes a location site analysis, a market assessment, consumer and demographic statistics, traffic patterns, which is just looking at site location and seeing how this fits into the business environment in terms of the traffic flow, as well as retail synergy. So how does it fit in the business environment in terms of relationships with other businesses nearby? And then sales forecasting for the launch of the co-op and future sales over the next several years. Now, the consultant that we intend to hire, and we've looked at a couple of different options, is from CDS Consulting Co-op. Her name is Debbie Swasana. And her experience has included 20 years of doing location research and site analysis. She's worked extensively with other cooperatives, as well as various types of retailers. So she also has experience in big box retail and specialty stores and kind of how a broader business environment works. But it's her specializing in cooperatives that really makes her valuable to us. She's completed dozens of market studies for now successful co-ops in this region and around the country. And so with that, for the purpose of this market study, we are requesting a grant from the Hudson Room Tax Fund to aid in financing and help us launch this next step of this project.
Any questions for Beth? Comments?
How do you see this money in particular, well, helping to fund the market study? Is that that's what you just said, right?
Yeah, we've requested in our request the full amount of what we anticipate that the market study is going to cost. Obviously, we would be very delighted to accept a partial grant as well, but towards funding the market study, which again is kind of a key milestone here in determining the viability and practicability of and the size of the business.
Yes, Mary?
I think co-op is a great idea. I think I know I would make use of it. I would shop there. I know many people who would, but I struggle to have tax dollars fund for a feasibility study. I mean, I think if every business owner in town would love to have the city fund their feasibility study. You know, I think that's a difficult pill to swallow. And I mean, not that I'm trying to suggest how you fund it, but for under $60 an owner, you can get it funded. You know, if you have 200 owners, it's like $57 for each owner to pitch in to get that thing funded. So as much as I support the co-op, I will not be supporting the grant money.
Anyone else? Yes, Kurt.
You know, in your PowerPoint, I could not agree more with how good the creating jobs is, bringing new shoppers downtown, and support for local farmers and businesses. But as soon as I learned that it's a for-profit, much along the same lines as Mary said, every business would love to have their feasibility funded. So I think it's a great idea. I don't see how I could support that.
Okay. John?
Well, the little homework I've done, community-owned businesses have always had a positive impact on cities. Some have actually saved towns. There's a couple in Kansas that it was a clothing cooperative. They actually produce clothing goods, and that was funded in part by the community. And the net effect, not unlike the money we give to the chamber and other places, is to create a positive economic environment. We're drawing other people. I don't see how it cannot help stimulate the community itself. So, and I have yet to see the exact definition of how we spend our room tax dollars. I think when you first got on the council, it was just sort of anybody's guess, right? So I think room tax dollars, to me, helping to stimulate our own downtown economy and continue to keep stores here, and we've seen some turnover even recently, I think, how can that be a bad thing? I would be in favor of at least partial financing of a market study, public or private. And if Microsoft wanted to open a business downtown and we wanted to give them a tax break, we do that in other ways for other businesses. So I just see it as a positive thing that we could do for Hudson.
I agree it would be a positive thing. We don't give room tax dollars to any for-profit organizations that I know of. We get into the business of picking winners and losers. I mentioned in finance, I'd encourage the people who go to Stillwater and Woodbury to go up on our hill. We have 3 great grocery stores there. There's nothing saying they have to cross the river to do their shopping. We don't have any funds in our grant fund this year. The council even considered disbanding the notion altogether. But we decided to at least keep the semblance of it in place. And if there's funds next year, we would have a grant committee. But I would just remind the council and the general public, we've given out $2,000 to $3,000 per year, and that was typically split among several organizations. So this is it's a large request, and it's unlike any other in that it's for a for-profit endeavor. So I will not be in support of it.
I thought when she used the Green Bay Packers as an example, you would be in favor of it, Lori. But no, huh? Okay.
Almost.
I've
I have
got a
principles.
problem with supporting a for-profit organization which will compete directly with some of the other businesses in Hudson, and I don't think the city council should take a position on that. I don't think that's fair.
Okay. Any other comments?
No,
Randy?
but I will move to deny the application and the request for room tax funds.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion or more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you, Beth. Karen, would you like to give your update now before the next item on the agenda? Are you ready? So you can go home?
That I can handle, Karen.
Is that all right? Yep. What's the other resolution?
Is this the preliminary resolution? That I can handle.
Okay.
You don't need me for the resolution?
That's standard, we do that every time, so.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm just here to give the update on the projects. We went from a snowy winter to a rainy spring, and construction's been a little slow. But the Hudson Center, we have all the utilities have been installed, and the testing of the utilities will be done in mid-June. On Red Cedar Canyon projects, the utilities have been installed on Dunbarry Pass. Now we're moving to work on Lockwood Court and then St. Croix Cove. And then we still need to do some testing on the utilities. And I just want to give an update. At the last council meeting, Mayor, you asked me if there was any surprises, and I said no, on the street course, which is a true statement. But I neglected to say during our preliminary field investigation that when we were out on Buckeye between 2nd Street and 1st Street, our plan was to do a mill and overlay. However, that road and the curb and gutter is in poor shape with it going up and down. And so we have decided to look at doing a total reconstruction on that street. And we did discuss that with the Public Works Committee at the last meeting. So we have already had a survey done, and we will be able to incorporate a reconstruction into the plans and specs.
Just a quick question. How much more? Roughly? I'm not going to hold you to it, but.
Well, what also happened on Gateway Boulevard, where we planned to go into like the Menards parking lot, that was in good condition, so that got pulled out of the project.
You're not answering my question.
Probably, I'm just thinking really quick on top of my head, maybe another 30,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't think it's too bad because the road is
Pretty small.
pretty
Yeah.
small.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just got some more curb and gutter and gravel. That's above the total overall cost, not just on,
Correct.
on Buckeye from
Right.
first to second. So,
Any questions for Karen? Okay, thank you.
okay.
Public safety, consider recommendation to deny request to raise chickens. Everyone has an issue sheet, and before we get started, how many folks here want to speak on the chicken issue tonight? We've got 2. Is that it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so then we're going to have to, 3 minutes? Is that a good number for you folks? Let the people that want to speak for 3 minutes? How many are speaking in favor of the chicken? How many are going to speak against the chicken? Okay,
Can I make a suggestion?
yes.
If there's a PowerPoint presentation, can we just hear that? And then if we feel we need more comment in favor of it.
Well,
That request.
are we letting, I think we should, if people want to speak, I think they should have the right to speak, but there's a PowerPoint presentation. How long is that going to take? 5 minutes?
We'll go quick. You guys, you have the information sheets, you've seen a lot of it.
Yep, we've seen it, yep.
So we can roll through it pretty quickly.
Why don't we do the PowerPoint, and then we'll see how the situation is?
Are you willing to take a motion right now?
Sure.
I will move to approve the City of Hudson's Code 99-8C to allow the Hudson Urban Chickens.
To amend it.
To
yeah,
amend it,
and
excuse
To
me.
create an ordinance allowing.
Yeah.
Can you send that to safety for ordinance work?
Well, we can do a move for first reading, right?
Well, we're not adopting anything
No.
tonight,
Yeah.
or an ordinance needs to be developed, so it would be
Yeah.
appropriate to have it go
Send it
through
to
the
safety
committee.
for ordinance work?
Well, if that's what the council wants to do.
I'll second it if you send it to safety for ordinance work.
Is that your motion?
Sure, well,
Okay.
There is no ordinance tonight
Yeah.
to act on.
right,
so.
so yes.
Okay.
I
There's a
second that.
Okay. PowerPoint presentation, please.
Right, there we go.
So before you get started, if you could give us your name and address, please.
Sure, my name is Heather Matthews. I'm at 927 A Street down in Hudson.
I'm Jen Harriet. I'm at 621 Diamond Drive.
Okay.
All right, first we want to say thank you for all of your time and all of your patience and your service to our city. Okay, we are here to propose an ordinance to change the ordinance to allow backyard hens in Hudson. It's an auspicious day. Today is actually National Egg Day. Just had to throw that in for you. True story. True story. Okay, so quickly, what are urban chickens? Urban chickens, we call them backyard chickens, urban coops. They're modifications to suit an urban landscape, culture, and mindset.
Not this. These are obviously big poultry farms. This is what we have in mind. Not this again, but like this. These are all the cities, not all of them obviously, but just a small sampling across the country of some major cities that allow it. 23 of the 25 largest cities in the US allow backyard chickens. And locally, these are some of the cities in the Twin Cities that allow them.
Okay, so who's doing it? It's an urban agriculture movement that has created its own retail.
Why people are doing it: for fresh, organic, local eggs, chemical-free pest control. They eat your ticks, your bugs, grubs. For the fertilizer, it's considered the black gold fertilizer, a smaller carbon footprint, and it teaches responsibility for kids for caring for a pet, and they eat all your table scraps.
They also eat mice and snakes. That's how my sister convinced her husband to get hens up where they live. Also, chickens make great pets. Okay, so how long have people been doing this? We're not breaking ground, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're not implementing a radical ordinance. Madison has had backyard chickens since 2004, South Portland since 2007. Many cities, including Chicago and New York, never banned them to begin with.
Concerns that people have with having chickens are odor, noise, disease, pests, predators, and decreased property value. Chickens, for odor, they don't smell. I mean, obviously their feces can smell just like any other pet that you might have. An average size chicken produces about 1.6 ounces of waste a day. The average dog produces about 12. That equals out to 8 chickens produce the same amount as 1 medium dog. The reason that people fear or think about an odor problem is because their only experience, if they have any at all, is with big agriculture, big poultry farms or barns with, hundred thousands of chickens, like that. Another concern is noise. People think that chickens are really loud. Only roosters are loud. Hens are very quiet. They make a small clucking noise for up to 60 decibels. Just once a day when they lay their egg, it's like 5 minutes, and that's about it. 2 people talking is the same noise level.
Okay, an average sized dog barks between 90 and 110 decibels. And there's a diagram that shows you just how low chickens really are on the scale. I believe where it starts to go from red into the red is about where a dog barks. Okay, disease. Disease is often a big concern, but avian flu that is often talked about in the news has never been found in the Western Hemisphere. The 2006 grain report states that when it comes to the bird flu, diverse small-scale poultry is a solution, not the problem.
Mr. Mayor, could I suggest whoever has a cell phone going and back,
It's an
find out?
alarm.
Thank you.
Okay, disease. Is it okay if I carry on, or? Yep. Okay. All animals carry disease pathogens. Dogs and cats actually carry more diseases than chickens. Common sense, you wash your hands after you touch any animal or bedding or cleaning their habitat. Other animals that carry salmonella, which is what we always hear connected with chickens and other types of fowl: turtles, snakes, lizards, frogs, toads, chickens, ducks, dogs, cats, guinea pigs, hamsters, birds, and horses all carry the salmonella virus or salmonella bacteria. Dogs can carry salmonella in their saliva. All right, pests and predators. Pests and predators are attracted to any food source that is easily accessible. That includes bird feeders and seed, pet food, gardens, garbage cans, pantries, outdoor cats, and they're attracted even to small dogs. Food sources should always be kept in a rodent-proof container and locked away, just like you would do with any animal or human food source. Okay, lowered property value. We search high and low, worked really hard. You know the amount of research that we have done for this, and there are no studies or reports that show coops lower property value on adjacent properties. In contrast, what we found was that Forbes' 2013 top housing markets lists 10 cities, 9 of which are chicken-friendly. All right, and there's just a diagram that shows you the top 10 cities. In fact, what we have found is that many very affluent cities have adopted chicken ordinances. We heard from the mayor of Bexley, Ben, and he said Bexley is an affluent suburb of Columbus, and in a combined effort from residents from some of our mansion streets with residents from our more middle-class areas is what I think made this backyard chicken ordinance effort successful. There's even a market for these high-end chicken keepers. You can pick up the Southern Heritage Coop for $12,500, or my personal favorite, the Bow Coop, for $100,000. That is not a joke. All right, well, one of the other things we always hear is one bad apple. It's always one person who spoils the pot. Well, Albert Einstein says that every kind of peaceful cooperation among men is primarily based on mutual trust and only secondarily on institutions such as courts of justice and police. We ask that people not be judged guilty on something until they're given a chance to actually try it. Dwight Eisenhower said, "This world of ours must avoid becoming a community of dreadful fear and hate and be instead a proud confederation of mutual trust and respect." And that's what we're asking for our citizens of Hudson, that we be trusted and respected to carry this out. We spoke with Kathy Pelnar. She is the animal control for Hudson, North Hudson, St. Joe's, Somerset, Star Prairie, Warrens, on and on and on. And what she had to say to us was that she rarely gets calls regarding chickens. She said she gets 1 or 2 calls of chickens a year. She told me they're specifically for one residence out in St. Joe's. So with all those cities, most of them allow backyard hens in their cities. That's what she is for us.
What backyard hens can bring to the community is local business, tourism, and community relationships. Backyard hens support and create local business, such as more people going in to purchase feed and equipment from stores. A lot of places where this happens, you'll get coop builders, people who just like woodworking or start building coops and sell them, and also retailers who will start to carry more chicken supplies.
All right, tourism, this is our favorite one. Something that is very, very popular in most cities that have backyard chickens are coop tours. They bring visitors, revenue, and charity benefits to a city. This is just a few of the logos of the thousands of coop tours that you can find. One of the ones that we really love is the cocktail party. It's part of the Tour de Coop, and these are just some pictures. This is like a neighborhood party that they have to kick off their coop tour. They have silent raffles, they have food, they have beverages. And the lead sponsor package for this coop tour is $500. So it brings in some local business advertising and stuff for them too. So it's really a neat deal. Most of the coop tours that we found usually had between like 200 and 300 people that had bought tickets or had attended. There was one we saw that had, I think, about 1,200 visitors to that coop tour.
Another benefit is obviously sharing fresh eggs. A lot of times you get extras and your neighbors are usually the lucky recipients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so imagine what our real neighborhoods would be like if each of us offered just one kind word to another person. That's for Mr. Rogers. All right, now this happens to be my second favorite next to the coop tours is it builds community relationships. Curiosity, people looking over the fence, see what's going on over there. Most of the time, we have found that people don't know that there are chickens next door. They're so quiet and so clean. But the one thing we love is chicken TV. Chicken TV is what you do when you sit and just watch the chickens. Do their chicken thing. They walk around, they scratch. It's highly entertaining, a little bit meditative. All right, now what we have is a string of letters in support. You already have these in the package that you've received. We're going to read the first one, and the rest of them we're just going to skip through because we've assumed that you've already read them or you can read them in your own time. This is from Charlotte Gartner, who's the Duluth City Councilor in the 3rd District. She wrote to us, "In the 5 years since this ordinance passed, I've heard only good things about the keeping of chickens. Even councilors who initially opposed it are converted and enthusiastically support the ordinance." We'll just skip through the rest here. And that's what we have for you. Thank you very much for your time.
Any questions further?
No, but can I just speak? Or are
Sure,
we going to take
we're gonna-
from the gallery first?
Well, let's hear from the gal. How many folks want to speak? Raise your hands again. Okay, how about, can we keep it to 2 minutes from each of you, please? Come on up, whoever wants to speak, now's your time. And if you keep it to 2 minutes, that'd be great. If you give us your name and address, please.
My name is Pat Colton, and I live at 405 Locust Rate in downtown here. And I'm very much in support of being able to do this. I think right now, in a time when there are so many pesticides and unhealthy food out there, like a basic human right is we should be able to have healthy food. You know, and how are we going to know that we have healthy food? Good way is to grow it ourselves or to take care of it ourselves. I have a girlfriend that has chickens. She said they're just like pets. She likes to pet them, sit on her lap. They're just like having a little kitten around. So I think I can't think of a good reason why anyone would want to turn this down. You know, it's not a harmful idea. It's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else?
Sure. Hello. Rob Cecina, 1109 3rd Street, Jefferson Day House. You've all received a letter from me. First, I just want to compliment the professionalism of both these groups of ladies. I think Hudson should be proud for the kinds of people that present here. I don't want to get into my thoughts relative to the laying chickens. I want to talk more about just the overall ordinance as a process. So, you know, Mr. Vanslo, we've actually known each other a long time, going back to 3M. One of the things that you said during the discussion of the liquor license was that the city preserves, what was important was that the city preserves the right to enforce its ordinances, and the businesses, and in this case the residents, agree to comply. That's all that we really need. This ordinance that's being proposed provides for a one-year trial period that gives the city the right and the ability to control and enforce the ordinance, control the rollout, monitor its success or failure, and revise and review in 1 year. It sets appropriate limits and provides permitting for the residents who are interested. So for those who are opposed, I guess all I would ask for you is to enable this 1-year trial period, let go of any preconceived notions and biases that you may have, and allow the residents of Hudson the right to this process. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Heidi Halverson. I live at 1027 Pitt Street, and I'm in support of this ordinance. I spoke at the Safety Council meeting a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to address a couple concerns that came up that night that interested me. I work as a quality assurance specialist, so I kind of live and breathe by rules. I work in an industry governed by state and federal and legislative codes. So I know that codes and rules bring order and structure. And I guess that's what we're all asking here, is just to change an ordinance so we can have, we're requesting some rules that we can follow. And this is something that, you know, you've seen, it's been tested by other great communities and beautiful cities like Hudson. You've got the data, you have those testimonies from other city leaders. And one of the questions that came up during the Safety Council meeting is like, you know, what are you going to do when people don't follow the rules? I just don't think that's a logical argument, because we want some rules and guidelines to follow and also point to as a reference when we meet other people who are interested in this sort of thing. People who would ignore an ordinance like this probably wouldn't care to even find out if one exists in their city before they put a chicken in their backyard. And we want to do things the right way. We want to show our kids that there's a right way to do things through local civic process. And we believe that codes are living and breathing documents. There are things that we should be able to change as our community and our cities change as well. One other thing I wanted to address was a concern about neighbor disputes. I really believe that the folks that want backyard hens are already good neighbors. We're already concerned community members, and that's why we're here tonight. We care about our environment, starting in our own backyards. And we're the people that are outside talking to our neighbors, I believe, and I wouldn't be here today before you if I thought that our want for a few backyard hens would negatively affect our neighbors. Our neighbors are like family to us, and Hudson is our home. So we believe that this ordinance will enhance the city of Hudson, so we hope you support us.
Thank you, Heidi. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Chloe Halverson. I live at 1027 Pitt Street. I am a Hudson High School student and an active member of the Hudson Trailblazers 4-H Club, and I would just like to tell you why backyard hens would benefit Hudson youth. Now, 4-H is not just for farm kids. 4-H is for everyone, and definitely for kids like me who are residents of the city of Hudson. The 4-H's in 4-H stand for Head, Heart, Hands, and Health. And the 4-Hers say a pledge before every meeting to remind ourselves that we are committed to improving our own lives and the communities that we live in. The pledge is, I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Having backyard hens would benefit any kid, 4-H member or not. I learned so much by doing new things, and so do other kids. By learning about animal care and food production in their own backyard, kids will use their heads to learn responsibility and gain knowledge about the environment right out in their own backyards. Kids love their pets, and we love our community, so keeping hens in a responsible, clean, and productive way will show respect to our neighbors and a commitment to a better environment, especially for Hudson. Kids' hearts will be in it. I take care of my dogs and cat, and hens would be no different. Hudson kids should have the opportunity to experience putting their hands to work, caring for productive pets, and see that a little hard work can have amazing rewards. We know that there is a health crisis caused by too much processed food. We have so much to learn by planting gardens, tending hens that will eat our pests and garden leftovers, and give us fresh organic eggs in return. That is a full circle that can happen in anyone's backyard. And just like the 4-H pledge, I believe changing an outdated ordinance to allow a few backyard hens will benefit my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
This won't be long. I'm not nearly as organized as everybody else here. My name's Marty Dalkey. I live on 813 12th Street. And like I said, I'm not as organized as these guys, but years ago I looked up and saw Hudson banned chickens, and I was really disappointed. But, you know, I wasn't as organized as everybody else to make a movement to start it. And, you know, I think that's probably representative of most people in Hudson. If they're interested in something, they'll check it out, and they'll follow the rules. But if the rules are changed, I'll follow the rules and have a pet that, you know, I could really enjoy. And so I just want to encourage the council to consider that as the kind of people that are really considering this thing. And if if they're going to violate the rules, they've already got chickens probably, and I haven't heard of much of that in this town, so that's my only statement. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, council? Oh, got one more.
I'm Tom Redner, 714 Wisconsin Street. I've got 4 things to say. Number 1, chickens don't stink, but their waste products do. Number 2, in my 72 years, I have eaten both organic, homegrown chicken eggs and commercial eggs, and I can't tell the difference, and I don't think many people can. Number 3, we have a wonderful crop of raccoons and opossums in our neighborhood that would love chickens. Number 4, although it's a theory and bird flu has not been found in the Western Hemisphere, it's not to say that it will never. I got 5 things to say.
One more, huh?
If it starts tonight with chickens, where do we go next? Sheep? Pigs? Cows? Horses? You can be opening Pandora's box. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. My name's Leif Halverson. I live at 1027 Pitt Street. I was going to hold off because I thought the rest of my family spoke very well, and I wasn't going to need to come up here, but...
You got a tough act to follow.
I do, yeah. So, I did a little bit of research myself and found that 4.5 years ago, I have the email correspondence here, this very same question was put to several alder people, and it went to the safety committee and was deliberated over. And at that time, and I might as well just hand these out to you, I guess.
Thank you.
No, you're fine.
So just to keep it short, at that time, the decision, after reviewing the ordinance, they didn't feel that it was necessary to revise the ordinance, and that if noise was an issue, as long as noise was not an issue, there was no need to revise the ordinance, and it was granted. And nothing ever became of it. The person has some chickens, and I just offer that as an example. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Michaela Anderson. I live at 513 Birch Lane, and my family has been raising chickens for over 6 years. We started when I was in 4th grade. In these 6 years, we had only one problem with predators, and that was 2 weeks ago. We found a possum walking around our yard. We caught it, my neighbors took care of it, and we haven't had a problem since. It had caused no problems. Since then, I also show in Rolling Hills Forage Club, and I've started breeding and showing my own chickens, and they have taught me a lot of responsibility. I got a job just to pay for them, and I've met a lot of amazing people, and I just hope that my friends in Hudson have the chance to learn what I've learned. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Last chance. Okay. Council, we have a motion and a second. Yes, Mary.
As as public safety chair and the person who made the motion to deny originally, I'm sure I shocked some people out there today, which is fine. I know I shocked John, I could tell. But I just did a lot more research over the weekend and over the weeks between the council meeting and now, and in case anyone wants to know, Menards has a book on urban chickens. Shocked me too. So, I just think that if it goes back to public safety and we really craft an ordinance that is feasible yet, I don't want to use the word restrictive, but controlled, I think that giving it a one-year trial is not the worst thing in the world. However, knowing that there are chickens out there already, there's also that concern of, we want a permit. I think just like dogs and cats, we want to have control as to where they are with the permit process and stuff. So I'm not in favor of a free-for-all, but I'm in favor of crafting an ordinance that would be controlled and feasible. So that's why I wanted to go back to safety for.
So when you say controlled, do you mean controlled by the number?
Yes.
Per
Number
owner
of permits,
or the number of permits?
Number of permits in the city and number of hens allowed, and I have like a list, number of permits in the city, number of hens allowed, the size of the coops, how the coops are built. Setbacks, 15 feet was my thing, my idea, but there's quite a few things you could put in this ordinance that could keep it in a contained and controlled environment that.
Okay.
I just want to say that in the time that I've been on the council, I think that the information that was presented and your argument to do this and to move forward has been great. I've gotten a lot of emails on this issue. Second to them, probably another issue, but it's well thought out. You've had your documentation, and I think there's no reason that we can't trust as a council our community to act responsible, to raise their own chickens on their own property. And I agree with Mary in with respect to some tweaking of an ordinance, but limiting our control. They should have the ability to do, and at least we can trust them to move forward in a responsible manner in raising chickens. So I think it's a great idea. Thank you for the information. Anyone else?
I've had a lot of emails on this subject. And first of all, I would like to say that I certainly respect the people that are involved in this movement for the way in which they've presented this and given us all the information and issues. It's been very respectful, and I think that's how issues should be addressed. This could be an example of how people should present information and avoid personal attacks, as it so often happens. But I've read several emails, many emails. I've read some articles in papers. I've gotten information from people. I've asked people questions about this. And it's been divided from the information that I've gotten back from people that I've talked to. And the division comes from the fact that some of the people who have moved into their houses moved in with expectations that they wouldn't have chickens. If they wanted chickens, they would be on the farm. So they moved in with these preconceived conceptions about what they wanted in a house. And now we're going to change the rules on these people. So while we're satisfying some people, we may not be satisfying other people. So it's very split from the information that I've got from verbal conversations. As far as the need for eggs, we've got an organic food store that sells organic eggs. I guess they're fresh eggs, homegrown. They don't have chemicals in them. So eggs are available. I have a real hard time bringing the farm into the city. I think there's a distinct difference between those two, and there are separate expectations from people who go live on a farm and from people who go live in the city. And so I have a hard time with it, even though I do respect all the people that have presented their information.
Okay. Anyone else?
One comment.
Yes.
And I share the concern that Mr. Redner has about, and I've read that less than 1% of the people in cities where it's allowed actually have hens, and yet from the emails I've gotten, there's going to be a whole lot of folks downtown who are interested in pursuing this. We have coyotes in town during the day. I mean, in and around the city. We've got raccoons, we've got opossum, And now we're talking about introducing something into I think what might be a fairly concentrated area downtown. And no one has convinced me that we're not going to be encouraging more of those predators into the city. That's a major concern that I have. I would really only be interested in pursuing this if we have a very restricted number of permits the first year. I'm not interested in opening this up, having in a year from now, realizing we've got a problem on our hands and breaking a bunch of kids' hearts. That, to me, would not be a smart way to do this. I think we have to introduce it in if we do, a very restricted, permitted, specific number of permits. That's the only way I would consider it. I get very concerned about a concentrated number of these coops downtown. And like I said, I've seen coyotes during the day in neighborhoods, and that's only going to increase, I think. So that's my major concern. I applaud the idea, and I get it. But there's I think a strong possibility we could be introducing a larger problem into the city because we are very close to a rural area. We're not like downtown Minneapolis or downtown of some large metropolitan areas. We're very close to some rural areas. There've been bear in town. We have to think about what we're asking the rest of the citizens, I guess, to potentially put up with.
If I can just comment on the restricted, I totally agree with you, Lori, and that's why I wanted to go back to safety. If this passes, one of the things that we've discovered through different ordinances is, I should say I've discovered through different ordinances, is that one of the possibilities we can do as a council is have the person who wants to receive or wants to have hens have to get permission from its neighbors in order to do it as part of the permit process. So I think that would help, and there's definitely a restricted number of permits I think that should be allowed. So, I'm in favor of it. Like I said, with a very restricted 1-year trial period type ordinance. So.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, there is almost no evidence to substantiate coyotes or other things eating chickens in urban areas. I mean, I understand your concern, but I have yet to read it. I've read pretty much page after page and page of this particular article by Jamie or Bouvier, and he writes the perfect ordinance. One of the things he says, permits aren't necessarily good ideas because they cost money. It's an extra level of government that isn't necessarily efficient because it seems to manage itself quite well. And he's studied all the top 100 cities, and 94% have chicken ordinances. And this is a very good document that I think would give us a lot of good template or benchmark for a good ordinance. I've been in favor from the beginning because everything I've read does not show urban agriculture to be a bad thing. It's continuing to be something that people are striving for. It is hard to tell where your food comes from. The organic thing, nothing. If you read this particular article, homegrown chickens actually produce the best eggs because they're fresh versus store eggs that can be up to a month or two old when you get it from the store. So there's tons of things in here that I have not seen anything in particular that would point to any one thing that would make this a bad idea. And given the people here and I think the responsibility and care that we're going to get from them, I think this is only going to be a positive thing. And yeah, there are a lot of people downtown that are going to want them, but I think that's the kind of neighborhood and environment that we have downtown. It's a different kind of neighborhood. So I am going to support this because I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Go ahead, Kurt.
I'll say that Jen and Heather that put this all together did a great job, because I'll be first to admit, when I first heard about this, I didn't think it made much sense. But I'll tell you what swayed me a lot is emails from other cities. We're not really breaking any new ground here. So my feeling is that it's working elsewhere. So I'm in favor of a 1-year trial. And probably on the number also, as you stated, Mary. So,
The number of permits or the number of?
number of permits.
Can we just get some specifics on if this goes back to public safety, the criteria that are going to be looked at? I'm open to it going back to safety. If I don't like what comes back from safety, I can't say I'm going to support it. But can we, as a council, at least list what our main concerns are and what we'd like public safety to address?
Sure.
I mean, for me, one is setback, number of permits.
In this article, the perfect ordinance, it covers all that. So whether you agree or not, you could use it as a template, and then we can just kind of, I mean, it talks about cage size, setback, numbers, no roosters, you know, kind of all the traditional.
I got it all on my list.
Yeah, it's well crafted, and this guy's gone through way too much data, but I'm sure he got paid for it. So, but I think it's very well written. So I think there's a lot of excellent language that we can use to base something going forward.
Lori, if you have some specific items that you want to make sure is included, I'm sure that you could forward those to
Okay.
public safety to see if they think it's a good idea also. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to send it to public safety to develop ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda. I guess we'll let,
Don't hear that very often.
I think they were clapping.
July 11th. I think it's July 11th.
stop.
Thank you.
Is it July 11th?
I don't know what this email is.
I don't know, Randy, but you gotta remember your emails. So.
No.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is consider, what do we have on there? What did I miss? Consider a all-way stop at St. Croix Street and 11th.
Oh, boy.
Is Marty still here? No, I guess not.
Marty's right over here.
Okay. Public safety.
He's doing traffic control right
Am I on the
Ms.
hot seat?
Yakub, you're on.
I'm on the hot seat with this one.
Yep.
2 years ago, this was brought to public safety, and I was on, Randy was chair, and we put a dangerous intersection sign up. And I thought, yeah, okay, that'll work. 2 years have gone by, and we still are continuing to get, concerns with that intersection. Whether it's high schoolers blowing through 11th Street, or just children trying to get to Burton Field, and everyone knows I've probably removed more stop signs than added as public safety chair, but I just feel that if we had enough sense to put a dangerous intersection sign at this area, maybe we should give a stop sign a try. It is a blind spot. It is not the easiest intersection to see. So I thought, I think we said safety, we'd review it in October, at the October safety meeting again, after it's been up and through the school year, start up again and all of that. So I just feel that if we have an intersection that's in some ways has a blind corner that we already recognize as dangerous, if anyone else can think of a better idea than putting a stop sign there, I'm totally willing and open to hear it. But I can't think of anything better anymore. We tried one and it's not working.
Well, I would just make a comment that it doesn't fit our stop and yield sign policy that we have in place.
Being that the intersection doesn't have full visibility, I think fits the policy.
it said, would not be recommended for a major arterial or thoroughfares. And I gotta believe that Bear Road is one of the main drags in the city of Hudson and St. Croix Street.
Right, but in the stop sign policy, it says intersections were a combination of high speed and restricted sight distance. And I know we say it's not
25
high speed, but
it's
people don't
25
go
mile-
25
well,
miles per hour.
But then it's an enforcement issue, not
Yes.
stop signs are not used to control speed.
Right. Right, but it's also where the interest of the public safety dictates.
If you looked at the number of accidents that have happened on that corner, it's minuscule. I mean, there's been one accident in the last 4 years. I take that back, there was 2. The one before that was in 2008, and there was one in 2011 and one in 2013.
Right, and I also think the environment, the population there has changed a bit. There's a park a block down the road, kids are walking around there.
What's changed?
Well, I think the condominiums, are those, they're not newer, are they? No, but I think it's just more of the fact that there's, younger families that are speaking out and with their kids, and I have a concern that if it's marked dangerous, I don't know, why do we mark it dangerous then?
Yeah, well, the challenge is it's a 5-way intersection.
Absolutely.
It's not normal, and the intersection is at more than a right angle. It's a blind angle coming from St. Croix Street to go across when the traffic's coming up Bear Drive. I know it's an enforcement issue, but the speed, people are definitely going 35 from County A and not slowing down on Bear. If you happen to be driving along there and follow the speed limit, people tailgate pretty hard because you're going the speed limit. So coming up that hill at speed, it becomes a transition, not only a problem for pedestrians, but from people trying to get out of the condominiums, and then also an issue of people coming down 11th Street. So I support it because it's not a usual 4-way. It's the fifth
5-way.
the fifth leg of that intersection that makes it a challenge.
I think you're creating a problem for motorists in a 5-way stop, and who's going to have the right-of-way? They're going to be driving around thinking, I've got the right-of-way, no, I've got the right-of-way. You're going to create a problem on the hill when people have to stop on the hill. In the wintertime, they're going to have problems. If we don't get to that right-of-way, you got issues with traction and other types of things going on. You're going to have issues with people coming up the hill and rear-ending people stopping on the hill because they're not expecting people to stop at that particular point because they're going up a hill. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's going to create a lot more problems than it's going to solve. And again, the accident incidents don't support the fact that we need something there.
I think we could properly sign the street to warn people that there's a stop sign ahead, and the hill argument almost gets me, except Vine Street. Every time you're going up Vine Street and you're on this hill like this, you're going to stay a couple lengths away from that car in front of you because they might roll back a little bit before they go up. I mean, and we have a stoplight right there.
You're not doing 35 miles an hour.
I'm talking when we're stopped, how you're concerned about them spinning tires. And you're right, they're not there in 35 miles per hour in Vine Street, but they're not supposed to be doing it on Bear Road either, and they are. And I know it's not to control speed, but it's a...
So the reason for the stop sign is safety? Is that, why do we want to put it in?
For safety.
For who?
For cars and kids.
There's been 2 accidents there in 2 years. I drive it every day.
I think it's a blind intersection, personally.
Marty,
I drive it too.
Can we get the chief of police opinion?
Sure.
As a chief safety officer for the city?
Well, I know this subject has been brought up several times. In fact, since I've been on the police department, I know in the last 10 years it's been on there at least 3 or 4 times. This intersection, it keeps being brought up by new citizens. As you've seen the accident, the data doesn't show that intersection to be dangerous. We haven't had any pedestrian accidents or near pedestrian accidents there that have been reported at the police department. If you take a look at the majority of those accidents, there are some of them, I counted 8, 3 of them were not even intersection related. A lot of the accidents were one vehicle accidents where somebody at night, intoxicated, didn't make the corner, hit a tree or hit a post. The data just doesn't support a stop sign at that location. The other thing, like the mayor brought up, it is an arterial roadway. It's designed for travel through and fro. The only blind intersection portion of that is people coming off of 12th Street. And if you pull out a little bit farther, you're going to be able to see traffic coming up that hill. Now, if that's the case, maybe it's time to take a look at either maybe doing some reconstruction in that intersection to make it so that you can see it a little bit better. But I don't think making it a five-way stop for traffic volumes that increase in the mornings and the afternoons, and then everybody's got to stop during the day, is going to make it any safer.
If we're willing to fix the intersection in some way to make it not as blind, I'm totally open to it. But if we're going to talk about thoroughways, then there's a few more stop signs that should be removed in this city, and that's all I'm saying about that, Vine Street to be specific. I mean, so it's not been out of practice for us to put stop signs on thoroughways. Not that I necessarily agree with some of them as we remove 4th and Vine, but maybe we're going to start looking at 3rd and Vine then too, and I mean, there's just food for thought on that.
Policy's great, and I know nobody wants to make a decision on emotion, but at what point do we decide, is it when a kid gets hurt or killed, or do we decide to put a stop sign in or not?
So do we put one on every street?
Well, Al, it's a rhetorical question for food for thought.
Well,
It's not a reasonable answer.
So but the question is, streets are for vehicles. They're designed to carry vehicles to and from work or to their locations. And if, I would think it would be a very bad intersection to try and cross there. I would move down to the next street before I try and make a crossing there for the folks coming. I mean, it's common sense again. So if you're trying to cross at St. Croix and, is it 9th Street there or 11th? 11th. I can't believe that you'd want to make a crossing there and not walk down one side or the other. I mean, you would, again, we can't make it safe for everybody in this city. We haven't, God forbid that a kid gets hit. I mean, but that's the story why we put stop signs at Grandview, the one on Grandview. The reason we have a stop sign there is for kids. Well, since it's been taken out, there hasn't been any kid hit yet, thank God. But
You're talking Grandview and
Grandview and Spruce.
Diamond and Vine.
No,
No,
Grandview and Spruce. We were told if we take a stop sign out there and a kid gets hit, it's on our head.
Al, I'm not advocating that's what I'm suggesting or supporting doing, but as more of an in-depth conversation, as this continues to arise, either at this intersection or some other intersection, at what point do we decide?
Well, when the traffic, when the accidents and it meets our criteria. I mean, I don't think the accidents, as the chief of police stated, is justified to put a stop sign. But, we can put a stop sign in every corner if we want. And then we don't have to worry about anybody ever having an accident or anybody being hit. We don't want anybody hit. But the issue is how many pedestrians are at that corner? How many people actually go there to stop every car? If you look at the traffic, have we done a traffic count on it? I mean, I think that's probably a very busy intersection there, coming up Bear Road onto St. Croix Street. It's a major thoroughfare there.
County does a traffic count every year.
Yep. And we're gonna stop all those cars? For what reason? I mean, it just, I don't know.
Okay, like I said, I'm open to other options. I have no problem, if we can find a way to make that intersection more, visible for the traffic flow, then let's do it, but.
And what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to, there does not seem to be a safety issue there. At least I can't see it. So what do we want to do there? Are we trying to, and again, I'm just trying to justify why we'd put one in or not put, or take one out, or.
I'm wondering how we ever let those condos go in there with that particular design and turning it into a five-way intersection.
Yeah.
And it's not to push fingers, but it's like, what was anyone thinking?
There's
And
only
is there
two houses
another way
back
to
there.
reroute it?
There's only two houses.
I wasn't on the council for that decision, just for the record.
Say there's only two houses back
That's
there for the
surprising.
fifth stop sign. There would only be two houses back there, I think.
And the townhouses?
No,
No,
there's condos.
not behind, if you go on the north.
North side of 11th Street. is what
Yeah.
you're talking about. There's already a
That's
stop
not what I'm
sign there.
talking about.
Yep, right.
No,
I'm talking about the condos.
The condos in a
and-
small road and
On
the
the east
dead-end
side.
road.
Well, but there's a house up there. What's wrong with the
That's
stop
real-
sign?
But that's what I'm hearing, is it's blind for the people coming out of
Yes.
that particular.
Yep.
Going west on St. Croix.
Yes.
I got you.
Right.
But regardless, the stats just don't, you ask, what are we trying to do?
Yep.
Because it's certainly not reduce accidents.
No.
But we just can't just say no stop sign and move on with the issue.
No,
Obviously, this
that's what I'm
keeps
saying.
coming back up.
I want, this issue has, since I've been on council, it's only my second term, this is the second time the issue came to safety. So either we figure out something, or, I mean, we can let it die again, but I think if there's a way to make the intersection more visible, more, visible is not the right word.
I think
whatever.
I think it is visible.
Okay, that we do this, that we find a way to do it, and if it's without a stop sign, and I don't even know if there's brush to clear back. I don't know what you would do to make it.
I think part of the problem is the railroad bridge is a big,
Yeah.
is a big issue there.
When I worked at DOT, we would take that intersection and you'd just shave off that skinny triangle and you'd round it a little bit so that the cars from St. Croix Street would come in at a perpendicular.
And they'd be able to see more visibly.
Right. So if it's just cutting that out, that might be a solution. I don't know.
We talked at one time about using some sort of mirror.
That was
Yeah.
for 7th Street,
But we talked about it at this particular
Oh, we did.
location, too.
Yep.
Okay.
and the concerns of the mirror were sun glare, if I recall.
Vandalism.
Damage, vandalism.
I think it was vandalism. We talked about it.
Maybe
So,
we should send it back to
Can I
public
just,
safety.
I mean, if it's that dangerous for people pulling out to make a left-hand turn, and I mean, you could make a right-hand turn there. I mean, when people move in there, they know what the setup is. We all look when we move somewhere at what the traffic patterns are like. It's been like that for a long time. I mean, no one's saying you have to make a left-hand turn out of there, you have to cross the traffic. I mean, if someone was concerned about safety, you could make a right-hand turn.
can I make a motion to send this back to public safety for more consideration on different options?
No.
I say, yes, you can. Is there a second?
I'll second
I'll
that.
second, okay.
Rich. Aren't you golfing that day?
All right, any other discussions on it? Yep.
One more thing. This, like I said, this has been brought up at least 3 other times since I've been coming to the public safety meetings. We have put crosswalks all the way around it. We put up the signs. We've had the speed trailer out there. If you want to slow traffic down, recommendation would be maybe put one of those permanent blinking speed signs down there. That might be it. But council after council has gone at the same intersection, and
That's what I was thinking.
I
was the
think
blinking speed
when
limit
nothing's
sign.
changed, and it's not because it's a dangerous intersection. I think it's a passionate intersection. A lot of people live up there, see some of the traffic coming through, and they want to make sure they're safe. But that intersection, the data doesn't support putting a stop sign in there.
How much is a blinking speed limit sign, Tom? Would you know off the top of your head, average? Oh, so we got to find some funding for that.
You know, but I mean, the precedent for it really is the one by the Y. Because people are coming from 35 down to 25 into the
really
city
works.
limits. I
Yep.
mean, it's very similar.
It does work.
I think they're great.
So can we send it back to public safety with the consideration of a blinking speed limit sign
Or
and
what other options you may?
search funding for it and then bring it to finance for approval then?
Okay.
Is there a
Any
second
other
on that?
comments, thoughts on it?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, new business. Consider ordinance 313, an ordinance to designate a new polling place for aldermanic districts wards 3 and 4, 6, wards 11 and 12. Ordinance 313.
Move to suspend?
Second?
Roll call.
Haggett,
Yes.
T-Winkle,
Yes.
Bernard. Yes. Morset.
Yes.
Yakub,
Yes.
Vanslo.
Yes.
Devin or Nancy, whoever wants to.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We did find out that we can go outside the city limits, so we talked about Faith for quite a while, and they were willing to allow us to do it. We had toyed with the idea briefly of potentially cutting down to 2 polling places, because we're having trouble with workers, but right now, the way it's set up there, it just isn't conducive to that, 'cause there's only one way in and one, same way in and out, so we wouldn't be able to get 3 districts. So we'll just go with the other 2 the way they are, and I think this will alleviate with parking, it'll alleviate with people standing outside like they are right now, because there'll be a substantial amount of queuing space in the building before they get in the room, so.
I'll move for approval of ordinance number 3-13.
Second.
Discussion.
And we will get postcards out. We probably would do
Yes.
it, we may do it twice.
I'm sure Randy's going to have a big article about it in the paper.
We'll get the
if we approve
information.
this.
Can they be a little more visible, the
Well, it's up to you. We can either do a bright colored postcard or we can do a actual letter mailing, but the letter mailing would cost more money, but we were thinking bright orange, bright green.
Or in a
something.
utility bill maybe like we do?
We could put a notice on the utility bill.
Yes.
But we also probably will do it now, and we'll probably also do it again before the fall election in 2014, because a lot of people unfortunately don't vote.
Yeah.
So, just as a reminder.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we have a consider preliminary resolution 4-13 regarding 2013 street improvement project special assessments.
This is a standard resolution we do every year. It allows the engineer and staff to prepare the assessment roll whenever it is ready and whenever they determine the projects are done. So it's just a preliminary step that we are required to do by law.
Any comments or questions on this? Do we need to suspend the rules for this?
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Roll call?
Tewinkle?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Yaku?
Yes.
Vanslo?
Yes.
Haggett?
Yes.
I'll move for approval of resolution number 4-13.
Is there a second? Kurt, second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Communications from the mayor. Thank you note from the FIP Center for the $1,000 contribution for the room tax dollars for this quarter or for this year. And again, from John Potter. I don't have anything else. Council members, anything for future agendas or communications? City manager?
Nope.
City attorney? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Is the print better this time?